Hello and welcome from every corner of the globe. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm Lamia Zerrera, Partner Sales Manager at Royal Cyber, and we're so glad you're here because today's session is about your business challenges and how new AI-driven tools are actually reshaping how we work, how we serve customers, and how we scale. We've brought together a very powerful panel to deliver real value today. We have James Semple, Director of Product Management at Salesforce, Luis Sanchez, Director of E-commerce and Digital Marketing at Rock West Composites, and Lala Sefalana, Director of Technology for Salesforce at Royal Cyber. So here's what you should expect from this session. We'll start first with how Agentforce actually fits into the Salesforce ecosystem and what that means for your teams and customers. Then we'll move into the real world story of Rock West Composites, the pain points they faced, the goals they set, and the journey they're actually now on. Next, we'll break down how Royal Cyber actually helped make that happen. We'll cover the implementation approach and the best practices you can borrow. And after that, we'll share measurable outcome and change management lessons, how it's working, what has shifted, and what you should expect or you should prepare for. So then we'll shift our focus to market trends. What's next in AI driven agents and how you should stay ahead. Finally, we'll land on clear next steps you can take back to your team today. So I would say brace yourself for a session packed with actionable insights and practical value. So without further ado, let's kick things off by zooming out to the platform side of things. James, you're up. From a Salesforce perspective, how does Agentforce fit into the broader Salesforce ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, Lamia. So thanks so much. So if you think about the way that Salesforce is as a platform, underlying everything at this point now has become Data Cloud or Data 360 as it's being known. And this is vitally important to everything really because it acts as both, it acts as a data warehouse, but it also is able to connect to existing data warehouses. So the first thing really, whenever you talk to anyone or whenever I've spoken to anyone about any kind of AI is our data's all in the wrong place. Our data's in the wrong form. We haven't got everything right. So the great thing about this is it allows you to connect to any existing data warehouses you have, but it's also you're able to put in, say, locally structured data like spreadsheets or completely unstructured data. And the great thing is by giving it access to this, you're then able to use this as a starting point for agents to come in on top of that, right? So because Data Cloud kind of sits across the whole platform and integrates with all of your third-party platforms, you're able to use this as a basis of everything. And so from there, the agents are able to access that data, they're able to be given a role, and they're able to take an actual specific action. And when we talk about actions in Salesforce, we're talking about running Apex code, we talk about running a Salesforce flow, or typically we're talking about calling an API. So I don't want to get too Salesforcey here for a second, but if anyone who knows those things, but basically what you're thinking of as an action is carrying out a function of some form. Okay, so agents are more proactive than previous generations of AI. They're able to go ahead and take actions on your behalf. So in this sense, that ability to have that completely fundamentally integrated across all sections of Salesforce is a huge aspect to this, right? So it's agents able to carry out all of these tasks, both that are kind of customer facing when you're talking about things like commerce and service, but also from a back office point of view. So these agents are integrated to every level, allowing you to automate, for instance, repetitive tasks and so on like that. So for instance, let's say you're going to send out emails to a group of people, the agent could, start off by giving you an email template that they've pre-filled. So it's fundamental across the whole of Salesforce at this point, and really integral to all of our platform moving forward.
Thanks, James. Great context and insights. Now let's dig a little deeper. What makes Agentforce unique compared to any other AI platform in the market?
So that's a great question. And again, I'm not 100% sure I can say definitely completely unique, but what we've been really focusing on is two or three different areas. Firstly, I think we've all experienced this. AI is incredible, miraculous tool, but we've already experienced things like hallucinations or kind of unusual responses coming back from things like ChatGPT and sort of commercial AI that we've gone out and worked with. This really isn't obviously the kind of thing you'd be able to use if you're working in a business and you are, for instance, making a business strategy based on this or providing information to your customers. So one of the things is focusing very heavily on accuracy. And we do this by effectively a process of iteration around ensuring that we're getting results that are actually accurate and verifiable. Part of this obviously is things really just making this easy from an enterprise grade. So for instance, putting in, guardrails to ensure that, for instance, it's not accessing the wrong data, and also things like not exposing your customers' data or any kind of personalized data or any of your business data out into external models. So if you're working with things like general models that are outside of your business, you want to make sure that all of your data is being protected. It's very important, right? And it's often very common to pull in those kind of general models. If I think of just like something like shopper facing, you might say, I want some clothes to fit this weekend. It might have to go out and work out where you are and work out what the weather is that weekend. You shouldn't really have that in internal models. So you get the point. Sometimes you're working with internal and external simultaneously. Another area is to make them as easy as possible to use. So building up tool sets, applications to make it as easy as possible to build these very, very powerful, very powerful agents with that functionality. So if you think about the way you would typically build them, it's with prompts. We're actually creating prompt builder code as well to make it even easier to build the prompt to build the agents, right? So if you talk to anyone who's working with AI, writing up an effective prompt is kind of an art form in itself. And so we're providing a lot of starting points of that to make it easier and easier and easier to build these agents as well. So it's very much about ease of use, security, and that ability to, really get accurate data in the enterprise.
That makes total sense. Wonderful, James. Now let's shift gears and go straight into real world story. Lewis, thank you for joining us today. We are very curious to know what were the main business objectives and pain points you wanted to solve when you considered Agentforce?
Yes, of course. So the first thing that we kind of for our business model is that we deal with a lot of customers, and our products are data driven, right? Customers come in and inquire about our products. They go through the orders process and update the order status. So our sales team and our customer service program managers spend a lot of time interacting with customers through the order processes and going through the learning and kind of like understanding how the objects and within the products move ahead, right? So the main goal was how can we make that process more easy for our customers and also for our staff. So that a system that has all these data can automate it. So when a customer gets in contact with us, we have that information and the customer can engage with an agent and ensure that process into it, right? A few cases and points where a customer can place an order and then follow the status through the process of different iterations of the program, also change the order status, move different products through the deliverables in different stages, right? So those are the kind of cases that we're looking into it, the understanding that our actual goals of the project, kind of going into the details of what products are available, how our learning process goes into it. So when we selected the Agentforce tools, we decided to go with two basic, right? Start short and go fast. And the first thing was like, let's do a growth process, also an FAQ, and then an order status. And with those three simple agents, we developed it within a few weeks, launch it out. Customers were easy to get into the website, request an order update, make modifications into the order. Even customers that were new customers coming into the knowledge base of the project, understanding what the goal was, kind of learning more about the product process, how they can go and learn, have more ideas into it, and then kind of like escalate the goals into what is needed to it. And then if they require more service into it, there was have an escalation to a live person into it. So that kind of helped a lot into navigate of how quick we can put an agent into the face of a customer and how that help ease that pain to the customer service, elevate the customer service level to a program manager, a project manager. And that was one of the kind of easy ways where we can speed up process moving forward and elevate the service need and the sales need that be utilized into all more of a sales goal rather than a support that could be utilized at 24 hours where there's less assistance, agents can then be more effective, providing more solutions to the customer at a fastest pace.
Amazing. And when it was time to take action, what use cases did you prioritize for phase one of the implementation?
Yeah, so like I said, start small and then go fast, right? So the first one was like, let's do an order status process. That's kind of like the most painful one where customers is probably the most, where our sales team spend the most time with their customers. So with the help of our Royal Cyber team, we've implemented the order status process where a customer can come in, provide their information, and then track the order status and then update the order status process. Along on the part with them, our team developed the FAQ, which also a very simple process where our full data can then get loaded into Data Cloud, and all our information that is within our products, our blogs, any information that we have developed in terms of projects that we have created with multiple clients. Agentforce is able to collect this structured data and unstructured data. And then when the customer comes in and starts getting to the knowledge base of the product or the goals of the project, Agentforce can easily go through our information and then provide a more effective way of answering any questions the customers have. So those two were our main goals for us to implement, and that was something that could, like I said, start small and then move fast. And those were like the two scenarios that we selected and the two H's that we built into it. Along that line, we decided to also include an escalated process in case any of the customers feel that they have a need to escalate the process to an action plan live. And then for that, then moves to the customer service right.
Great insights as usual, Lewis. Now I'd like to bring in how it all came together. Lala, over to you. How did Royal Cyber actually approach the implementation of Agentforce for Rock West Composites?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, as Lewis mentioned, we started small and now we are growing fast. I mean, and when we started, honestly, I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty when it comes to AI, and then especially when it comes to Agentforce. The idea was to educate our existing customers first, uh, you know to give them a sense of how this platform works. What is at the back end, what they would need to get into this platform. And there were a lot of concerns around data security, how that would happen, how that would be managed, whether the data would go out of the organizations to the external LLMs. So all these kind of questions were around everyone's mind. We and as part of any engagement, so we start with the discovery with all the existing and the new customers. It's a pre-project or a pre-actual project implementation discovery where sometimes we travel to the customer location, and that's what happened with the Rock West case. Actually, we traveled there to their office. We conducted a one-day workshop. I was along with one of the Salesforce account directors, Sam Mitchell. We had a very detailed meeting with Rockquest team, including Lewis technology side and from the business side as well, right? There were questions around, there were debates, discussions. And finally, when we came out from the meeting, we agreed on some of the use cases, which were kind of low-hanging fruits, which were basic use cases. But at the same time, they were adding a lot of value to the service side of the overall business, right? For example, where's my order? There are a lot of queries which are coming around there. What is the order status? I want to get the refund from this order, or I want to do the partial cancellation, because the way Rockwest business model works, they sell, they manufacture these spaceship equipments, right? So sometimes, and the product which they have, those products comes with a lot of custom and the standard attributes, hundreds of attributes. So sometimes the CSRs receive calls from their customers asking about around customizing those products. So these kind of use cases were there. So we started with a very low basic use cases, so that at least half of the workload can be shared or can be offloaded from their human agents and served by the digital agents, AI agents. So this is how all started, and we finally got the SOW signed, and we started the project. Yeah.
Perfect. And moving into delivery speed and best practices, what accelerators or best practices did you bring to speed up delivery?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, we that's a very relevant question. We when Salesforce launched Agentforce, since that time we started working on AI agents. I have a team of dedicated people who started looking into these agents. So when it comes to the partners, we were assigned service agents and the merchant agents as part of our partner orgs. We started looking into those agents. And what we did was we created, some industry specific agents belongs to different line of businesses. For example, We have retail agent, we have manufacturing agent, we have health agent, we have automotive agent, we have travel and tourism agent. So what these agents do is, or what we did was, the thought process was to have those basic and the common use cases belongs to these industries are being developed already by these agents or for these agents, so that any customer comes, we can have those basic use cases done already, so that when the project starts, we just go in and look into the data of that particular customer. And if data is in the right state, if the data is organized, then we just have to stitch these agents with the data. And as James mentioned, at the start of this session, that we just have to stitch these agents with the actions which are at the back end, right? And then rest of the thing is being done by the data, because data, when it comes to the AI implementations or agentic implementations, data is the backbone, data is the key, right? Um, so using these industry-specific agents, which we already built, that really accelerates the development. It brings the development of the overall project timeline almost half, compared to the original project timeline.
And finally, Lala, touching on system integration, how did you handle integration challenges with, Data Cloud, MuleSoft, or any other systems?
Yeah, I mean, great question. So, Data Cloud, MuleSoft, especially Data Cloud, in today's time, I would say, it's a very key component of when you are pulling data, especially out from the data sources which resides outside of your organization, which resides outside of your technology, local technology stack. So, for example, we recently, or let's take an example of Rock West. Now, when it comes to Rock West, there are multiple use cases which we implemented. For example, where is my order? Now, their order resides within the Salesforce OMS. So when it comes to Rock West, they're using Salesforce B2C Commerce, they're using Salesforce OMS, they're using Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So when the data resides within the organization, let's say your customer data resides within your Salesforce CRM, it's not an external or third-party application or a third-party ERP. So when the data which your agent is trying to pull through those actions resides within the organization, the integration becomes very seamless, very, very, smooth. Um, you know, but now the best part is with respect to these integration challenges, which we used to have in the past, where we used to have very heavy middleware code. Now it is being resolved by Data Cloud. Data Cloud comes with a lot of out-of-the-box connectors, be it either third-party data lake, data warehouse, ERP, be it Oracle NetSuite, SQL servers, all those connectors are there. So one of the customers, Bouclair Canada, we recently made them live on Agentforce. They sell luxury furnitures. So one of the use cases were there was to have the FAQs, make use of the FAQs, the repository which exists at the back. And that's where the question came. We can make use of the Data Cloud, because Data Cloud comes with out of the box data extensions which supports FAQs. So we did not have to write a single line of code to make that happen, to have that FAQ use case addressed by the AI agent. So Data Cloud made that integration very smooth, very seamless, where we are pulling, and the best part was we actually tried two approaches. So without Data Cloud and with Data Cloud. So without Data Cloud, if we are pulling that, those blogs, those articles, that knowledge base, it was taking a lot of time. The agent was taking a lot of time to respond, because the agent was traversing through those documents, then getting the right answers for the customers, right? But when we implemented Data Cloud, we used the data out of the box data extensions. The response time was so quick, so fast for the customers. That's where the power of this, or the benefit of Data Cloud comes into play.
Thanks a lot for your insights, Lala. Now let's take a look at impact and adoption from the front lines. Louis, back to you for this one. From your perspective, which areas have seen the greatest impact so far? Is it efficiency gains, improved customer satisfaction, cost saving, or something else entirely?
Well, it's really all of the above, right? The very most important one is keeping the customer informed, and then at a faster speed, right? Our conversion time usually for a customer is it takes a little bit longer because there are engineers looking for solutions where they might launch a payload into space. They might do it for Formula One, a drive shaft. They might try to, take a product into a different aspect of, like what I was saying, an attribute, a product that will have about six or seven different attributes that will have a sustainability or a coefficient expansion into some different types of products or usability, right? And so engineers go to a very high standard, study our solutions, and within that, Agentforce will they'll do their analysis and then they'll contact our customer service. Our customer service will spend the same amount of time trying to negotiate and go with the process of what tools we could offer for them and solutions, right? With Agentforce and all the knowledge they have within their hands, they can do it in a matter of seconds, right? Because the agents can take all these structured and unstructured data, and any questions that our customers provide to them, it could be provided within a matter of seconds. And so that makes it a lot easier. Computations, technical data, anything that you can think of, it will be able to provide to them and validate it to them right away. So then the customer becomes with a more active way of saying, okay, so now I don't have to spend all this time going through asking different iterations of questions to get my solution approved. The agent is giving me everything at hand and in a very fast way. So our conversion rate has reduced to a faster, more effective way of doing a transaction into it, right? In essence, I have elevated our conversion rate instead of like spending months for a customer to finally make a decision on which product is the best for their solution, rather do it in a matter of days. That's been very good in the process when it comes to the FAQs and the knowledge base that we have implemented. When it comes to the order status, also makes it a lot better for both our clients and our customers, because before our clients would come and ask where my order is, I need to make changes to X amount of deliverables, et cetera, et cetera. Then with our systems, yeah, we're all integrated through like the Salesforce ecosystem, where the customer service can then look into the order status through order management, and then kind of look and see how many of these items have been built, how many of these items have been changed into it. But the Agentforce itself can actually go and look at all the systems, so through the data cloud, can be able to allow the customer to know X amount of units have been built, X amount of units have been scheduled to deliver, and you are allowed to make modification on X amount of units. So that also can happen in like seconds, where before our customer service can actually have to call and they kind of look around to the different systems and figure out what information we can provide to it. Now, that helps the customer to make decisions faster. It also elevates the status of the customer service. They don't have to deal with that type of information or that type of analysis, but they have to go and get information around. So in terms of how many calls we got into a day, right? So I'll reduce the amount of efficiency because now our agent is actually holding about 1/3 of our calls, right? Where now our customer service now is more elevated to a program manager, focusing more on satisfying the customer needs at a higher level than trying to check on order status or try to validate their data, where the agent can actually take more advantage of that. So that has helped in terms of production, effectiveness of us resolving questions, and then improving our business status in terms of bringing more revenue to the customer. And then the fact that it operates at 24 hours with a faster speed, it has given us an overall increase in business satisfaction for customers, and then the fact that we now our engineers, our customer support, and our customer service can have different types of tasks that can help them elevate their status and be more proactive and productive in a lot of different areas.
That's actually great to hear. And now, on to what it takes internally. And I would say I'm very curious about this next question. How did your employees adopt AI agents? And did you face any change management challenges or anything of this sort?
Yeah, so like Lala said, he came into that when he presented this kind of like project business, we were dealing with integrated marketing cloud into it, right? And we were struggling to kind of getting that work done. Like comes and tells me, hey, Agentforce is now live, and we want you to take advantage of it. Can we go and develop this solution together as an integration partner? At that point, I told him, Lala, you're crazy. There's a lot of stuff going around, and you're just bringing another tool for us to get done, right? I said, let's talk about it. Let's bring it to the table. It says like, we're going to do it. We're going to help you support that. And I said, yeah, let's do that. So I said, for that, you're going to have to come in, and the sales team also have to come into the building, and we're going to bring all the people that we need to it, right? So we brought in our customer service team head department. We brought some of our integration people that help us with different tools and systems that we work around within the company. We're business development people. We brought also our marketing team, our engineers, our customer service. So everybody was in there. It was a team of 20 people. So obviously the customer service team were locked into it. We're really locked in there. Like, we want to have nothing to do with it. We don't want anybody to take our jobs. We're fine what we do, right? That was a priority. Like the business development, like, yeah, we want X, Y, Z. They have 100 different solutions that they want Agentforce to do it, right? And then obviously the marketing team have a lot of different ideas. And me as integration assistant was like, okay, we can probably maybe do 5 or 4 cases. But at the end of the day, so I guess the whole point I'm making here is that everybody had different ideas of how to get this done. And our goal was to, like, how can we condense all this into a very small process, like maybe a few small solutions that can provide good results and improve our business in a more positive way, right? Kind of selecting those goals that will give us the more revenue and return on investment, right? And then also try to see which elements we will affect that will turn out to be positive, right? And sure enough, at first, like I said, the customer service were locked into it. Once we launched the site and they saw the benefit, how calls reduced to their level, where they were like constantly answering calls and spending time with customers, and then seeing the level of reduction from them and how the agent elevated their status where they don't have to spend this long amount of hours dealing with the same customer, and the agent can do it in a matter of seconds. For them, it was like a game change, right? This is really nice. And then for our business development team, they're like, okay, when is our turn, right? When can we go and take advantage of this solution, right? And also for the marketing team, they're like, this is a really good solution. And this is kind of how we saw the progress of people that have like very small knowledge of what an agent is and now how the AI world is moving into it. It start changing, turning ideas into solutions, right? People are afraid of it. They might not have the right idea, but once you start seeing the possibilities and how agents can help in a lot of different departments, then everybody wants to have an agent at their hand, right? And obviously now we have less time and more ideas that we need to develop. And this is kind of what we're working on, right? Trying to figure out how we can satisfy every department. But I mean, at this point, we're just like happy that we are at this era, at this time, providing a lot of solutions for customers and for our internal team to make sure that we can provide as many solutions that they ask that can help them elevate their workflow.
That's fantastic, Lewis. Now, let's return to James to look ahead and see what's coming. So, James, what trends are you seeing from other customers in adopting AI-driven agents?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I think the first thing to think of is that no customer that I'm speaking to at the moment is, or very few are really just going with one company for AI. Everyone I'm talking, because there's a lot of companies out there offering very small AI, powered functionality in a variety of different areas. And so I think the thing that's going to be important here is orchestrating these. And this is where, again, Salesforce has Data Cloud and so on to help kind of bring that all together. But yeah, what I'm seeing in terms of adoption is some of the larger, bigger initiatives, but also a lot of AI kind of around the edges. Ultimately, this is a really appropriate way to work because there's always going to be those niche vendors providing, great little functionality like that. And I think this is the way that it is going to work. I think from our past, we know that, I've worked in Composable for a long time. I've worked in Composable with Royal Cyber. But I think there's a lot of true composability coming with this. We start to look forward with some of these protocols becoming actual standards, ACP, AP2, MCP. There's a lot of protocols out there right now. But if we just start off with Model Context Protocol, that ability for you to expose a model and the context around that model to effectively allow another AI agent to interact and understand what's going on with that data is incredibly important. And in a way, it allows a level of composability that wasn't available with APIs. With an API, there's still some human had to get involved and say, oh, I understand what this API is doing. I will now program something to take advantage of that API. This is kind of almost like potentially automatic composability here. So this allows us to modularize and componentize whole areas of functionality within our company. So from one area, I'm seeing the very first steps. I'm not talking about people doing that all right now, but the very first steps of companies going down that route, and that's where I can see that. The second thing, of course, is some of the larger companies out there providing third-party or the ability to work with third-party AI. So, we're seeing there's been obviously some large announcements. Salesforce announced our integration with Agentic Commerce Protocol from OpenAI at Dreamforce. So this ability to allow your cart, your checkout, your functionality, your site to be exposed to third-party AI. It's an interesting thing. I mean, trying to think the right way of looking at this. It's a very consumer-focused approach, I guess is the right way to look at it. Consumers go into ChatGPT, they want to ask something, they want to do something like that. Excuse me, when I say do something, they want to go from potentially asking something. Let's say we often go to ChatGPT with a problem or a question. If you think about the way we're interacting with the web in general, we're changing. We used to go to, say, Google with, I'm looking for this thing, show me this thing. Well, now we tend to go to even Google, but certainly ChatGPT with more of a question of like, how do I do this thing? And what do I need to do this thing? And then, as part of that, you have to think of like buying from ChatGPT or similar kind of ideas as just part of one thing. So it's not like I'm going to go to your website and buy something specific. It's more a case of, hey, I'm planning a party. What do I need to buy? And another agent, ChatGPT or whatever, acting as a personal assistant and saying, well, you need to have this thing. Maybe you need to have a marquee. You need to have this food. You need to have this drink. You need to have these costumes. You need to have, great. Okay, just buy it all for me. Right. And that's what we started getting at. If you think of that kind of level, and you can see then why ChatGPT or any kind of external AI-based approach like that makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's not down to an individual purchase. You just actually offsetting the whole task of something. If you think about booking a holiday, for instance, same kind of idea, right? Where you just say, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. So obviously people with high value, particularly luxury brands want to curate the experience. And I definitely agree that there's a lot of sense in that. You build up that relationship. And when I'm talking about curating the experience, I'm not just talking about, for instance, on a website. I'm also talking about messaging. Certainly in Europe, and I believe in Canada, WhatsApp is much more popular than, say, the United States. But those kind of messaging-based solutions are often very, very popular with things like luxury brands to give more of a kind of intimate feeling of a relationship with your customers who are very loyal. And so that ability to do full conversational commerce, for instance, straight down that WhatsApp channel is incredible, right? So what I'm getting at is there are lots of different ways that we're going to be interacting from, say, a consumer point of view. And you can understand why this is all happening at that level. And Salesforce is providing all of those facilities to integrate with those. We're not obviously going to provide every piece of functionality, but we're providing those there. The other example, for instance, is Google's Agent Payments Protocol, AP2. That's a similar kind of idea. And again, it's designed to be used by agents to allow them to buy on your behalf as well. So lots of new things happening at the moment, and incredibly, exciting and innovative time, I think, in commerce right now.
That's awesome. And looking ahead, James, how does Salesforce see Agentforce evolving in the next 12 to 18 months?
That's a great question again. So I think actually some of this has been already answered. If you think about how Agentforce came out, a lot of the start of it was very much providing the fundamentals, which is, you need this great area of data with very, very accurate data, and you need that ability to access that data and to improve the accuracy of retrieving it. And so all of those fundamentals, you need fast access to data, accurate results, and so on like that. Now, from that moment, that being solved, everything else is, what are the applications of this? So a lot of this is just like, how do we build more and more different use cases? I mean, we almost started off with this, and we're like, we have so many potential use cases we could build. And as both Lewis and Lala have been saying, our customers and our partners, as well as ourselves, are all building these use cases. They're building different agents to provide facilities for different use cases. And yeah, we've started with a lot of the ones that were considered to be, really, really big wins up front, such as dealing with order status, where's my order, and so on like that is a very big win. But we're obviously going on to more and more complex sets of use cases in that area. And of course, this is fundamentally across the whole of Salesforce. So one of the great things, I tend to work in the commerce and retail area. One of the great things about working with our agents is, tying them together as well. So for instance, when you go and talk to an agent on a website, you could be dealing with a commerce agent who's designed to be selling to you. You could even start off with a marketing agent. And we mentioned the WhatsApp thing. Somebody could reach out to you, an agent could reach out to you with a targeted, segmented, personalized piece of marketing. Instead of giving a link to a website, you could respond to that directly and say, yes, I'm interested. And then you could go through the whole purchasing thing, actually check out. But then at the same time, you could also use that exact same channel. And in your mind, speaking to the same agent, to say, hey, but I ordered something last week. Where's that? How's that going? And what's happening underneath it all is it's switching which agents are answering this, but it's seamless to the user, right? So this is a big part of where we're going from this point onwards. Another thing, I guess, what I want to quickly mention specifically around commerce is that I think we've all seen agents are incredible, but why haven't they perhaps caught the public imagination as much as we might have expected them to? And I think a lot of that is because of the way we, lay people, for instance, think of new technology, which is typically, it looks like this. And of course, let's be honest, agents look a lot like chatbots, right? We all know they're not. They do incredible things that chatbots couldn't be capable of doing, but it's not immediately obvious. It's not like you open the page and go, that's clearly an agent. You sort of have to squint and turn your head. Oh, I see. That's the difference. So changing the look of that, changing the way they're integrated with the page, maybe having less of a kind of bottom right pop-up kind of thing and more integrated directly with a full layout of the page, being very visual. So starting immediately with imagery and things like that, getting away from that text-based approach to conversation. So that's some of the immediate things that are going to be happening very, very soon to just make them more inspiring and more exciting and more engaging for customers. But that's just like a very small fraction of all the things that we're doing across our future of agentic commerce and agentic Salesforce in general.
And so for anyone who's ready to take action now, how can Salesforce customers maximize ROI from, their Agentforce investments?
Right, exactly. Well, that's a great question. I mean, look, you're talking with much better experts in many respects than I have, who have the actual real experience, like Lewis and Lara here. But I would say that, Lewis's answer is actually fantastic. The first thing you do is to look at, are there any big time savers? And if you look at this conceptually, right, why are we doing all this? Customer expectations have really raised. So I'm going to focus primarily on commerce at this point, right? But customer expectations have raised. If you think about it, we've all had the experience where you find a local shop, it's maybe a family-owned business. They're really great. They know their products. They know their customers really well. You feel like a one-to-one experience. They say, oh, this new thing came in. It's going to be perfect for you. We all love that experience. And frankly, the upcoming expectations of consumers is, I'd love that experience. Even if you have over 1,000 employees, even if you have over 1 million customers, I still don't care. I want that feeling of that experience, a one-to-one relationship with my brands. And everything I do, I would like that passed forward. So in the sense that I don't have to provide any context, every interaction I have with you through any channel should be remembered, and you should really understand who I am as a customer, right? So that's the kind of personalization people are asking for. That's a pretty high expectation, frankly, right? Let's be honest, right? That's a pretty high expectation. And so meeting those expectations requires a lot more of a company, right? And I think if we're all honest here, the economy isn't, we're not in a boom economy where money's just flying around everywhere. We're not even in a situation like COVID where people were throwing tons of money at their websites because of, that was their only channel. We're in a situation where money's relatively tight. So how do we provide all of these features, this kind of white glove service to all of our customers at the same time as, and not tripling the number of people who are working on the website, for instance, multiplying by 10. And so this is where, shopper facing agents doing things such as, where's my order, can take a huge amount of the strain off your internal teams. So that ability to pick those kind of, obvious choices or, low hanging fruit, I guess, as we're looking at, right? Which is where is my order? What's my order status? I need to change my delivery address, things like that. And offloading those to shopper-facing agents, fantastic way to free up a lot of your team, allowing your team to focus on some of these other things. And at the same time, then having these kind of back office focused, merchandiser focused toolings to again improve, empower, and increase the productivity of all of that team as well. So this is the area that it's really going to focus on, improving on both ends, that improving the shopper experience, but also making every one of your team much more productive and able to deliver a lot more content. So that's the area that we're really focusing on. As I say, there are some specific areas that the great businessmen like Lewis here know exactly where to focus on. That's going to give them that maximum return straight away. And then after that, you can start to look at specific use cases. You may have a specific niche in your industry, but this is the area typically we're looking at. It's what are you spending your time doing? Is this something we could offset to an agent? And then you could spend your time doing the tasks that really require a human to look over that.
Very great forward-looking insights, James. Let's wrap this up with what's next, Lewis. Let's start with you. Looking ahead, what's next on your AI or Agentforce roadmap?
That is a really good question, right? Because every day I get up and I'm like, okay, what's new in AI and what Agentforce has done for us or Salesforce by itself, right? And every time it changes, right? There's new tools coming in, there's a lot of new stuff going forward. But the way we see our business is that we enabled this channel, which is the chat, right? And it's taking a third of our customer support help, right? And now that Salesforce and Agentforce have launched voice, I figure the other leftover that is still calling in is the next channel that we're planning on opening, because at that point then will be 100% service based with Agentforce, and that will automatically turn the whole table into agent will be the first phase of our whole business, right? They will come in, work with the agent itself, because if the chat is working and providing the right solution, the other two quarters of the business that are still engaging through the phone, they will do it through an agent. And thanks to the solution of Agentforce providing that voice solution, it's a key element for us to do 100% agent for service, right? And that will elevate everybody's solution in terms of how we want to innovate. So that's the first thing that we want to do. Secondly, we also noticed that there's some limitations as to how right now we have the user experience within the agent itself, right? Customers can see the tool, they can chat into it, but then there's other ways for us to then engage and make it more relevant to it. We're also looking into having that once the customer knows and understands the product, then have the agent then move to the next level of providing that product solution. Is like, we're giving you all this data that you're asking for. Instead of us giving you the quote to lead form, let me give you that advice that this is the best product that you want to buy. Would you be care then enough to take it into the shopping cart, which is the next level, right? And even though all of these solutions do require different levels of customization, the agent now is preparing itself with the knowledge base to understand the different elements and attributes or variants that will require for that product, play, to or whatever product is that they're developing, to take it into the next level, give the whole view of that product, take it into the shopping cart. And again, it's a little more different than normal businesses, because when you're looking for a t-shirt, something really like maybe color, size, and maybe a few more elements, for an engineering solution, they go through a more robust amount of data that they need to input, and then get a lot more variance into it. But the agent can handle it. Can handle a few attributes as much as 300 or more on an unlimited amount of elements. And that's kind of the gaining point of it, right? That's the turning point where an agent can do all this for us. And that's what we want to do. Take them into the shopping cart, get them into the final checkout process, and then they can then say, okay, now I got my shopping experience, get them into it, get delivered to it, and then schedule the delivery process. And those are the things we would like will be 100% or utilizing this Agentforce to the fullest within the e-commerce solution. And just like James was saying, then the follow-up process, right? On the back end, the Agentforce will continue to be working with our marketing strategies, right? Make sure that the marketing process follows, automations of emails to the customer, make sure that the orders are following through, and then the customer feels like there is that personal touch base, right? If it's a specific client like, Boeing or Northrop Grumman or maybe SpaceX that have provided solutions or have had different values to us, then they have that personal touch to that customer. And then through the integration with the core process of our CRM, they know our customers, our clients, and their different accounts, and is be able to differentiate between them, and then provide that personal process and values like of the different order status, and then integrate that with their business development team so that they can use that personal process where they can call the agent and say, hey, by the way, we saw that you placed an order. We're working on this. Thank you. Is there anything else that we can do for you? Given that personal touch, where now our customer service team, our marketing team, and our business development team, our sales team, they'll have to go around trying to figure out what everything's going on, where the agent becomes more an assistant to all of us at different levels. And that's kind of what we're seeing the future for us moving into it, right? We started easy, we're moving faster, and now we're escalating the level of the agent to provide solutions for everyone, just like Tim was saying. And now at the higher level, when I sit up with our executives, they're like, by the way, that OpenAI and Salesforce just partnered together, and everybody just went to the Hammond was like, okay, cool. So now we don't have to spend a lot of money on PPC campaigns, because we know now that there is another source, an LLM, where then now they can actually go and say, can you give me more information about this thing that I'm trying to build? And we know that Salesforce is going to provide that element of solution where they have all our data and provide that shopping experience through a different channel where we don't have to invest money in it, right? The money is well spent. Find our services, our solutions with Salesforce, and so Salesforce finding partners like OpenAI that can provide that service automatically for us without us spending extra amount of money, extra amount of time configuring all those solutions to us. So that is for us a game changer, and that's one of the reasons why we invest in Salesforce than any other, you know, solution or any other type of technology.
Thanks a lot for sharing, Lewis. And Lala, from the partner side, how is Royal Cyber actually helping other customers leverage Agentforce and any other Salesforce, clouds in real world
Yeah.
scenarios?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a great question, Lamia. We've been doing a lot for past, I think, more than a year now. Around there are two major sides. One is the composability, the headless, the composable commerce projects. I think that's where our existing new customers we are moving to. There are three projects. One of them is already live. That is Rent a Center. We made them live in August. We are doing two projects right now for composable commerce. One with Lumens, the other one is Capital Lighting. We are moving them to from the older side Genesis Salesforce B2C commerce framework to headless composable model, hybrid model. Um, Now, from the Agentforce perspective, again, there is a lot of traction, and the idea here is to help customers to improve, to accelerate the service side of efficiency, reduce, I would say, operational cost, giving a personalized, I would say, user experience. The way it started, I mean, the way I see it is, it was initially it was user interface UI, then UX came into play. The user experience became the key, and now AI-driven experience. As everybody's talking about, and I remember. When I came out from connections last year, we were then we started working on these industry specific agents, and one of our existing customers, True Religion, we were walking them through around these retail agent, and the question which came from the SEVP was, Asif, why can't we have a kind of a agent who helps shoppers in during the shopping journey. I remember having this discussion with James as well, in the last podcast which we had. And the idea was that, when, let's say, if customer is on trying to find a product, or customer is having an issues on the checkout side, so there should be an agent who comes into, pops ups and start helping customer. And that's where you see, right, in this Dreamforce, we saw that shoppers agent demo, right? Assisted shopping, so idea the goal is to learn all of these new tools and the technologies which are coming very rapidly, and then to educate and to spread this out among our existing and the new customers, right? And that's where we can drive this this I would say agentic driven commerce experience, and again, I mean, if any customer who is using all of the products, or the which are part of Salesforce ecosystem, the idea is to make them best utilize this agentic platform, integrating with sales, service, marketing, data, to drive this AI driven customer experience.
That makes total sense. And thank you all for being so insightful and engaged. Now let's open the floor and take a few questions from our audience. And because we're running short on time, we'll take only two questions, but please feel free to share any questions you might have that we didn't answer during the session. So the first question over here is, how long does it usually take to implement an Agentforce project with 2 to 4 use cases? I think this one is for you, Lala.
Yeah, I can take this. So, it's a very commonly asked question actually. When you conduct these in-person workshops, I was part of one of the workshops at Rent a Center, and then we conducted a workshop with Lewis, at Rock West office. Um, um, I would say it is not mostly about the use cases. It is, as I said, it is mostly about the data. I mean, most of the time we ignore this fact that, to implement any AI application, or either it's a pure Gen AI application or a agentic application, or to configure these agents, it happens very quickly. And when it comes to Salesforce platform, it is given out of the box. Creating an agent, it's a few minutes job. But yeah, I mean, how it works, how you create your actions, which could be your API, could be your flow, which could be your Apex class, and then how that flow or that action stitches with your data, that's the key. So that's where your major chunk of the effort or the time goes when you start implementing these projects. To answer this question precisely, we have done two projects. We made Bootlayer live with first set of use cases, around 5 to 6 use cases in 10 to 12 weeks of time. And then we implemented one of the complex use cases which they had, was the price match or the promo adjustment use case, which took us, I think, 3 to 4 additional weeks. So in a way, we implemented this set of six to eight use cases in 3 months' time. Same goes for Lewis. When we started Rock West, there were 2, 3 basic use cases. I think we finished in around 4 to 6 weeks. But again, it was very early, and that required a lot of testing, by the business. So major effort goes into organizing, arranging the data, checking the state of the data, and then test it thoroughly before you make that agent active or live.
And the second question we have here from our audience is, since implementing Agentforce at Rock West Composites, how much did you see the number of handled conversations increase, and any numbers you'd be comfortable sharing?
Absolutely. Like I said, our engineering calls we don't have like a massive amount of calls. Like we get about 40 calls a day. Well, since we implemented agent, about one third of those have about 15 of those to just engage with the agent, because they know that rather than calling and talking to somebody and spending hours and hours and hours, the agent can give them that solution in a matter of seconds. So they tend to go in that route. So that has elevated their status of how quickly they can get answers to it on anything they want, right? Also, the fact that it's available 24/7, they can call at any time and get anything they want into it. Uh, like I say, our second phase will be for us to then move it to a higher level, but then the boys within at that point will be 100% agentic, right, to the whole website. So that's elevated us in a more powerful way, because now our customer know that there is a tool. Right. And it's not like the old chat tools where it will give you this sort of like nonsense information, and it's only limited to give you specific. This is an actually natural language process that understands your data, right? Whether it's a structured, unstructured data, whether it's talking about your products or your regular FAQs that you have in your website. And that makes it a big difference for us, right? And also for the customers. So more customers are tend to go in that route. Unfortunately, like I say, we need to enhance now the user experience so customers can see that website a lot more into the actual side, and that can make a big difference. So overall, I say it has improved about one third of our business in the overall process of how they engage with our consumer website. And again, you got to know that we do both B2B and B2C customers, so both of them are engaging with it, whether it's for them to submit a quote, ask a question for an order status, which is kind of like just understand more our business model. That has given us a lot of leeway into how we can engage with customers.
And Lala, do you have anything to add on this regard for other customers?
Yeah, I think the outcome has been excellent, I would say. I mean, Lewis talked about Rockfest. I'll just share some notes around Bootclair. As soon as we made them live, on Agentforce, I would say, I mean, the numbers which we got in next 3 weeks, the 80% of the conversations were successfully addressed and closed by an AI agent, which was excellent. I mean, output which they were anticipating. And Rest of the 20% conversations were handed off to the actual human agent. So it means almost, I mean, even if we don't go precisely with 80%, if 60-70% of the work which is being offloaded from human agents to the digital agents, I think that's a great achievement. And as you progress with more use cases, you would see more the output is getting better.
Thank you so much to our panel, James, Lewis, and Lala, for your great and invaluable insights today. And thank you to everyone tuning in for your time and attention. It was such a great discussion. I personally have learned a lot from you guys, and I hope everyone watching us today did too. So we've seen actually how Agentforce integrates very seamlessly into the Salesforce ecosystem, heard a compelling success story from Rock West Composites, explored implementation best practices, reviewed real world outcomes, and outlined clear next steps that you can take back to your team today. So, if you're ready to turn insights into actions by streamlining operations, enhancing customer experience, and leveraging AI at scale, we're here to help. Visit us at royalcyber.com to start the conversation or message our team today, and let's begin your transformation journey together. Thank you so much again for joining us. We can't wait to help you translate these insights into measurable impact, and stay tuned for our upcoming webinar session. Thank you. Bye.